Welcome back to another Bear Down segment of the Coach Steve Show, which means Zach is here to talk about the Chicago Bears and their tough 35-32 loss versus Miami Dolphins in Chicago. But outside of that, Zach, how's it going? How do we feel?
I'm feeling pretty satisfied actually after this one. This is the best I've felt about a loss in some time. I don't always believe in moral victories, but I'll take this. I'll take this for what it's worth. You know, I'll take it.
Yeah, I think that's what there's a lot to unpack, believe it or not. You would think it's easy, but it's never easy with Chicago Bears fans or these ESPN announcers or these other out of the woodwork podcasters that I've never heard of that come out of the woodwork on Twitter. Um, so there's a lot to unpack, but I think like most Bears fans, I've heard a couple people say, yeah, if we average 31 points a game and we're giving up 34, we're okay because we're moving in the right direction. I'm like, well, we're going to start giving up 35 a game with our defense. But yeah, I think like most Bears fans going from the beginning of the year, watching them against the 49ers and just how those games progressed to now, it just looks like a different offense. It looks more complete or balanced, with the run game, athletic Justin Fields. I thought the O line once again played better, and we'll talk more about that. But just every time we're on offense, it's almost like you're grinding your teeth. And then now when they go on offense, you're not grinding your teeth anymore. You're just kind of like, oh, we look like a competent football team, which goes to the staff. Lou Getsy, I think, is calling a better game. I think they're figuring it out. It's nice to see some younger guys start to step up and play well on offense. But yeah, I think like most Bears fans, we're like finally, it's starting to look more competent for a tanking season. Um, Chase Claypool, brand new to it as well. Of course, everybody was expecting like a 100-yard game. He had 15 yards, but that's going to happen. You had 2 days, 2 days of trying to figure it out. But yeah, I think I felt okay afterwards, and I read Twitter, and it makes me more angry. Then I get away from it, and then I feel better. But yeah, I think we all feel as Bears fans ultimately feel better about what we're seeing. But a lot to unpack from this game. Just going to get out of the way. The defense sucks. Let's just get that out of the way right now.
It's
Besides
it's
that,
every it's everything we were worried about, wrapped into one package for probably 3 3/4 of the game at least. If we're talking, just that duration, sans like the last two stops for Miami, or stops at least in fourth down. It was just as you advertised. There's no first or second level, and yeah, the run game for Miami is not their strength, but they picked the living hell out of Kyler Gordon and Kendall Vildor all day long with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Those are two. Those are two of the best receivers in the game right now. Uh, it was a tough task, and clearly it was just as advertised was going to be a tough task. I don't think there's really much stopping either one of them.
no. Tua had 302 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was 21 of 30. The last time we were on here, I don't know if we recorded this, but I'll just say it. There was a certain Bears blog that I read off, and it said that that the deep threat was not going to be a worry for the Bears. And as soon as Tyreek Hill caught a deep ball, I kind of wanted to find him and tweet at him, and be like, "I thought you said that this wasn't going to be an issue." But
Yeah, well, the real issue was, and I think this is just their bread and butter play that they were nailing all day for the most part. Somehow the middle, we're talking like between the safeties was always wide open. It was like they'd be running like 15-yard posts or something. And it would just be, you're not going to beat us like on the home run ball deep, but we're going to gash you in the intermediate game and make you like get yards after the catch for like, 15 plus, 20 plus on plays. Time of possession for this game is widely in favor of Chicago based on just how they played. But Miami, I mean, they just took advantage of what of what Alan Williams' squad was giving them, which was right down the middle every single time. And when you can't get any pressure on Tua for the majority of this contest, Well, odds are he's going to find wide open receivers. He's been pretty damn accurate in the NFL this year. If you haven't caught on yet, Guy is the guy in Miami. By the way, I know we're saying Fields is in Chicago now. He is him. Tua is also him with the Dolphins. I think we need to stress that
Yes.
he is
Yes.
definitely he is there for them right now.
Yeah, that's the guy. And I kept saying that as the game was going on. Sit by myself and watch it, but I'm like, Tua's having 4 or 5 seconds of just standing there and able to throw the ball. And I'm not saying we had a pass rusher before, but like I feel like if you had Roquan Smith, you could stunt send him or do something. But ultimately, that Bears defensive line, there is no pass rush. Now the Miami Dolphins O line pass protects very well, as you can tell, because they want to pass it all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But still, they had no pass rush. They wanted to drop people back and keep them. They try to keep things in front of them, and they didn't the full time. When you're in that 4-3, it's a lot of too high, cover two type stuff, not quite a Tampa 2 that we saw back in Lovie Smith times. And I think that the Dolphins just have too many weapons that you have to concern yourself with. Like, who do we take away? Who we decide to take away? But they were able to pick apart a lot of things. And again, if they're picking apart intermediate throws, that's linebackers dropping back in coverage. That's them occupying the safeties and the linebackers not dropping. I'm not saying Roquan Smith was going to be 100% the fix, but like we said, now you have to figure out your pass rush situation to try to get some D linemen. You have to figure out your linebacking core. We do have two rookies playing, corner safety. But like we said, 3.5 quarters or a little more, Dolphins offense was scoring every time they touched the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you're a Bears fan and you thought we were going to stop them the whole time, you were sadly mistaken. This is what life's going to be the rest of the way. They're going to make plays here and there. It is the NFL. They are athletes. They're there for a reason. But I think this is reality of we're going to give up 28 to 40 points a game and try to get into these shootouts. Now, I'm not saying the Dolphins have a great defense,
Mm-hmm.
but still, like, this is life the rest of the year until they find some free agent that we don't know about, until we get to the draft, till we get to some trading. Maybe we trade draft picks for a player. I don't know what they have up their sleeve. But yes, their defense, this is it. This is life.
Yeah, see, I've been curious ever since Ryan Poles said they're still kind of in a win now. I've kind of said I doubt it, because if you were, I think you'd have a little bit more of a structure defensively, and they did they ripped the hard saw out, of course, for future building. That's how I look at it. I don't think that the status of win now really fits, unless this offense keeps on having it where Justin Fields goes willy-nilly and this defense finds ways to make things work with the sum of its parts, which, hey, you know what? Like I said, there were some good stands late in this one. Like I said, the Chicago was in this game because defensively we had two fourth downs that we held on to allow us to not be down 3 scores. Actually, I mean, there was, or at least 2+ scores again, which was going the trend of that when the Dolphins got the ball in the second half. So I give them props to that, but it's going to be tough. Not every matchup's going to be like, say, a Detroit Lions next week, although credit, I mean, their offense can still do some damage. But still, I am going to say that these are going to be either catching up from behind, or you're going to be trying to keep pace with whoever you're competing with all year now. And that's fine. You just have to now deliver in the draft and pick up guys to rebuild your defense, because you took out, at least to me, one. I know people have been talking about Robert Quinn, but you took out at least one guy that was a pillar that you couldn't get a deal done with. So, that guy's over in Baltimore right now. Right now, as we're recording this, he's actually making an impact on the game from what I've been reading. So, go figure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he'll do just fine. So yeah, this is our team now. It's weird. Like I've been saying this to you and others. This is probably and sure, there can be more weeks, but at least the front seven is building the case for this is like the worst defense since the Mark Trestman era that we're going to be having At least last few weeks, it's hinting at that's the direction we're going. Is we are back to
Yes.
that type of ball where we need to start relying on keeping up with the opposition or getting ahead, and then you got to get aggressive after you get ahead. So
Yeah.
that's where we're at.
Yeah. Because people can disagree with this. Now you're putting a lot of pressure on this offense who is looking better, and we'll talk a whole bunch of offensive things to say. But I feel better about the offense, but I don't feel better of every single time they get the ball to go score.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's still the Bears, they're still trying to figure it out. But now that's what this defense is built on. And I did see Ryan Poles say, "Oh, we're still in a win now. That's why we got Chase Claypool." Okay, but if you were in a win now, you wouldn't be saving all this money. You would have made try to make move. Like I don't know. He might just be saying that because of what I said. Like they're professionals, they have to do that. You're getting paid millions of dollars. Maybe that's the angle he was kind of hinting at with that. Um, but I will give the Bears defense credit. Like you said at the end, they had to get 2 stops, and they got the 2 stops. I thought Tua played bad in that like 6 minute stretch there. He missed a couple open guys. I'd have to go back and really look at the film. But I remember them talking about like, why is he throwing to this guy when this guy's open? Like he would normally throw it here. And but the Bears had confidence, and that's when they finally got to Tua, I think, at the end there. Because confidence is a big thing. You're at home, confidence, young team. But it's just I just back in the day with the Bears defense, you were like, they can get this stop. Like when it was happening, I was like, we're not going to be able to get this stop. Like I know we have energy, we have this momentum, we're not
Mm-hmm.
going to stop them. And then we did. And then I was kind of like you, where maybe this is it. Like maybe God's shining down on this, and this is going to be a win, and everything else. And
It felt
um,
like it.
it did.
It really should have been. I think we should have at least had an opportunity at OT.
Yeah, that I thought at least maybe we could get down there and kick a field goal. I know the wind was still a factor. It wasn't the wind that was around Saturday. Like my poor Illinois team had a rough Saturday, but that wind was just terrible. And I don't know if it was in Indiana, but up here it was just ridiculous driving in it on Saturday. And so I know that it was still lingering in Chicago, but I still think,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, at least I thought that too. Like we could march down, kick a field goal 35-35, trust our kicker who hasn't missed all year, knock on wood, ever since Cody Parkey times. But, that's what I felt like when they got that stop. I was like, maybe, but
You would think, and I'll be honest with you, it's been a while since I've had a game where I felt I can sit here and go, yeah, the refs influenced a bit of how this played out, because that's what I'm saying. Like, I felt we should have had at least an opportunity for an overtime in the sake of you have a bad PI miss with Chase Claypool.
no,
You know
no, that's not.
that's I mean that's is that not a bear hug?
No, you mean this right here is not. You're calling this a PI where he has his arms around his ribs and another guy's holding on to him on top? No.
I guess the NFL doesn't think that because clearly that was let slide. Um, and then also I'll admit a little more questionable in terms of like I'm not sure if or, but there's two intentional groundings that weren't called on Tua late in the game that people were getting on. This one's the one that to me is more egregious in the fact that this straight up alters the game. You see where they're going to be at. They'd be down at the 20 spot foul, so be down at the 23 yard line. For wherever this flag would have been thrown. That's at least a field goal, if not a game-winning TD for the way they were playing right now, right then
Right.
and there.
I'm gonna leave this up here for another minute because I'm like, I just want any video watcher to be like this right here. And I don't have a picture of the one that was a pass interference on us, on them. That was terrible. And I'm like, that was less contact than this.
Mm-hmm.
You hate to say the refs caused this. I'm not. Who knows? We could have thrown an interception. We could have fumbled it. Who knows? But like, this is not one of those questionable ones. Somebody said we understand why they didn't call it. I don't. I don't understand this.
No, I don't get it. You can't. I don't even think there's an argument for saying going back to the ball. Like, sure, that ball hung up there to where they could have this issue come up. I mean, that's what happened, but still, you have to actually play the ball. You aren't supposed to be holding on to a receiver as he's going for the ball. You know,
No.
you can't. You have to throw a flag there. I don't agree. I don't agree at all with that call. Even if they wanted to say like, oh, well, it was like a Hail Mary situation. Like, no, it wasn't. there
Well,
wasn't
because
four. There wasn't five verts and like,
wasn't
you
that the
know,
third down play, and then he rolled out on the fourth down and we
yeah, it was
dropped
the
it?
third down play. So
Who dropped that ball on the fourth?
that was St. Brown. But
Yeah,
that's what kills me. It was 12-yard pass that you needed 10. And he should have caught it. It was a perfectly thrown on the run out route
hmm
or drag route. I'd have to go back and tell, but it was one of the two that was all the way across, and he didn't get it.
Nope. It's a tough catch, but it's not as tough as like off the fingertips, over your head. Like it's right there. Um, but that's just how the game ended. But um, the offense. We can talk more about the offense because the defense is the defense. The offense. Um, Luke Getzey looks like he's figuring out the play calling. It looks like he's having some fun. Cole Kmet had a jet sweep for a first down, almost first down run. And it's like, who
Mm-hmm.
gives their 200 some odd pound tight end the ball on a jet handoff? Well, he did.
Getting creative. I'll give him that. But I think they're really just leaning into, like, I think what everyone was wanting last year, where it's like, okay, maybe you should play this, like, basically leaning into maybe you should play the skill set over what you want to do. Um,
Right.
that's kind of what they're doing. I mean, I'm gonna keep hammering this portion of it home. They're starting to treat Justin Fields like how the Ravens were treating Lamar Jackson back a few years ago when he first came into the league. You know, dude's got a bunch of freakish talent in terms of speed, agility. He can run without any question and burn you.
hmm
They need him to, however, become more confident and get more adjusted as a passer. Now he's getting better. He's been getting better in terms of like selection of passes, as we can see. His QBR is going up, and they're putting him in situations where he can do the most damage in passing downs. Getting intermediate plays, getting plays that are pretty efficient and first read, less staying in the pocket, which they only had one sack for the Dolphins. They only had one sack, and it unfortunately came late in the contest with Braxton Jones kind of forcing them to be put in that position for that 4-and-out or that fourth down play that they were in. But I digress. I mean, they're basically trying to give this offense as much focus on, okay, Fields can either effing run on a design run, he can bail out of the pocket and burn defenses for like 6 to anywhere beyond 6 yards usually. Or if he feels confident enough, he can drop a nice intermediate or something pass or go for the bomb, because he can throw deep. They just are trying to make it efficient to where he is doing the best with what he is good right now at. And hopefully they get better as time goes on. His confidence builds up. He takes better passing risks as well. So
Yeah. He broke Michael Vick's record, 178 yards rushing, and a lot of those were not design runs. Those were just him taking off. The Dolphins try to put a spy on him, and there's times he beat the spy.
this is the first time this week I was like, hey, we're gonna our team's gonna start putting a spy, and sure enough, I'm without question. I know which play you're talking about. I'm forgetting 41 who was on there, but dude was supposed to spy on him. Completely whiffed on the spy. And I'm like, well, in that case, teams are screwed because if you can't spy him, then you just have to contain that running ability or hope to God that they get into a point where they have to force them to pass more in a game. That's all you can do.
Yeah. I'm going to be very positive here, and then I'll get to my, crankiness later on about everything. The run game was not really there besides him taking off. I have to give credit where credit's due, and I've said that to you on the show, and I've said it to other people. When he does well, I will come on here and eat crow for anything I've said. And he looked fine passing the ball. he escaped a lot of tackles when they did bring a lot of pressure. And that's what he does bring to this table. It is Lamar Jackson esque. It's not like Michael Vick. I think Michael Vick might be faster. I have no proof of that. It just feels like back in the day you're watching Michael Vick and you're like, you ain't stopping him. When he took off, he took off. Justin Fields he just went out there and it looks like his body language is better. We've talked about. It seems like he sounded a little more fun. He's just an athlete. So I think he just said, you know what? I am going to look to throw the ball, but when I do have to take off, I'm able to break tackles. I'm able to do this. Cole Kmet had himself a game. I thought, we've been saying this since week 2, I think, where Kmet has to start getting more involved in the offense. And I think Getsy's like, hey, you know what? We have this really, really, really tall guy. Maybe let's throw him the football. Like
Yeah.
when we had Jimmy Graham and we would never throw to him in the end zone and Matt Nagy was calling the plays, I would freak out. Like, you have a 6'6" basketball player that you should be throwing the ball up to.
Get that alley-oop going,
Yeah. Chase Claypool on the screens was a nice way to introduce him to try to get some catches. Darnell Mooney chipping in, I said this, and it's going to tie into what I want to say later. I think even though the receivers aren't catching a ton of passes, to me they're playing better than they did at the beginning of the year, in my opinion.
That's
Calling.
That's a fair one. I think that's a fair take.
I think play calling's helped them. I think Justin Fields playing better has helped them, but I just think that they personally have played better. Now, it's like every game somebody doesn't do well, whether it's, Brown or whoever's, somebody won't do something. But I just feel like they've been playing better, running routes harder. Like St. Brown had the drop. He had no catches. So that could be a reason why he dropped the ball, because he had no catches.
Yeah, that was a rough. That was a rough game.
Rough.
Mm-hmm.
Montgomery had a catch. Pettis had a catch. Claypool had 2 catches. Cole Kmet had 5 catches. Darrell Mooney, finally got going, had 7 catches. And that's okay. We have to be okay with having like 17 catches. If the Bears have 17 catches, some run yards, and Justin Fields running the ball, I think that's just it. But I just feel like they've been getting open. They're blocking. I think that's something that's kind of ignored, is they'll go down and block. So that will tie into what I want to say later about these guys talking about how bad the receivers are. But
that Justin Fields 61-yard TD run actually was opened up partially due to some pretty good receiving blocks, kind of impromptu on the back end.
Yes.
Because he got down there about 20, 30 yards. And I'm actually going to check out the replay again to see who threw that block. But without that last final block on the safety, I don't think he might actually get tackled early. But it feels like there's more effort here. Again, it could be just that the coaching regime, it's rubbing off. They're believing in it. It's felt like all year that teams keep saying Bears are a scrappy team. We keep talking. They're like it's like the Colts mentality that Eberflus brought over. They're never truly down and out. You can always be in a game. It's just, it depends on do you believe in the system you're in, and do you believe that you are still in this game no matter what. So, clearly that is transitioned over entirely. And as I'm looking here, yeah, Mooney threw the key block to open up Fields to get that 61-yard TD, because there was like I said, the safety was cutting over last minute to see if he can get Fields, and Mooney chips him just enough.
I was trying to find the all 2022, but they haven't put it up yet. 24 to 48 hours. But yeah, that's just
TikTok NFL. Come on.
Well, there's times 24 hours later it's up. Then there's times where it's 30 some hours and it's still not up.
Clearly the interns are a little annoyed right now. They have to this is their way of revolting. We'll wait until the last minute. We'll piss off your fans. You haven't been treating us. No, I'm joking. I have no idea if interns do this. It could be just video editors. Who knows? I'm just telling you.
I don't know. I'm waiting for the college football pass. That's all I need.
Ooh, yeah. Get your maybe not a Illini this past week, but
no, but I'd still watch it.
you should probably do that.
Yeah.
Let me think here. So so kind of reiterating offensively, I think the identity, like we've talked now, it's there. It is basically, credit. I know that this, like you said, the run game is a little different. I will still list the stat: 4 straight weeks that the Bears have hit 225 plus rushing yards in whatever way, shape, or form. I know that this was an even different way of doing it. It took a Michael Vick's single QB rushing record to do that, but it
Yep.
still is an impressive feat that hasn't been done much. I mean, it's the ground game. It's what they do best. But you are seeing more and more that they are getting comfortable with this system, and that teams now more than ever have to say, "Oh crap, well, Fields, if he keeps getting more confident as a passer, this becomes more and more of a problem."
Mm-hmm.
The running game alone, it's a problem. And the other factor that kills it with the running game for them, and what makes it for defenses a living nightmare, is they're designing this offense to not. It doesn't have to be explosive. It has to be. It can be sometimes, but it's going to take up a lot of clock. They dominated time of possession against Miami, and it's going to put its offense in the best possible third down scenario. Something I noticed throughout this entire game. So they've been getting better at third down conversions, but something they're refocusing on, okay, let's go back to the old school football principle. Can we get 4 yards a down?
Mm-hmm.
If we do that, we are setting ourselves up for third down every single time to be in a much more comfortable position. They're avoiding the long third downs and long downs like they were in the beginning of the season. They have gone back to saying, look, just focus on getting the ball closer to that yellow line, or that yellow line, that that marker. If you're not acting like I'm talking like the yellow line exists post TV, I'm just telling you that's the whole bread and butter. And if the big play's there, sure. And if Justin Fields makes some magic, sure. But that's our key, is just get those first downs, work down the field, and just score. Focus on just making
Yep.
that basic thing work in your favor.
Something like with Mitch Trubisky, but who knows? It is what it is. Yeah, we have to be
Mm,
okay with short. We have to be okay with short passes. We have to be okay with 3 yard runs. I just had to bring it up because I'm going to bring up another Bears quarterback here eventually.
well, he should also.
Another one.
I thought you were going to bring it up I've slapped on duct tape onto my Trubisky jersey. Just I've been writing Claypool on it.
No, but that was awesome. He did take one and sign it for somebody. That was
That
awesome.
was pretty cool. I thought that was a nice nod. It's funny because Mitch has also been, he's been pretty good teammate about this whole thing, with Claypool heading over to Chicago. So
Oh yeah. Um, but it just looked like the offense having fun. You do have to give credit to the O line. You have a rookie playing that's been kind of shaken up, white hair back. Yeah, there was times the pocket broke down, but that's every NFL team. But like, I thought they played better. That one where he did have a spy, there was a pocket. It was just everybody was covered. They
mhm.
were playing good defense, and so he's trying to when everyone's covered, you're going to try to take off, and I thought they all played better. I told somebody like I think they're finally. It's not going to be great. I still think that's a spot they have to look at is the offensive line to figure that out. Um, but I think they're finally starting to find a good group with the O line, like that good gel. They're meshing. You're finally keeping guys in one spot. I know Whitehair came back and played left guard and not center and
Mhm.
everything else, and that's fine. But I think they're trying. I think they're finally. Hopefully, we're done. Like we won the beginning of the year, we said the wide receivers weren't playing well. Justin Fields wasn't playing well, and the O line just they keep moving guys. Well, now you're not seeing them move them as much. You're not. The wide receivers are getting a little bit better. Whoever Justin Fields' therapist is and the sports psychologist needs a pay raise because he is mentally better now. I saw someone today. Again, not all of this is credible sourced, but
Mhm.
somebody's like, "Oh, if Luke Getzey continues to play call well, he'll be a head coach candidate." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Hopefully
That
not." But
well, that would be unfortunate to have that happen in a season. I also don't think it will happen. I you know how ridiculous some of this stuff has gotten. I've seen, and I'm only going to do this because people in our own community are now riffing on Packers fans because of just the fact that we're both 3-6, and it feels like the meters are trending different directions right now. And they're going, well, we could always let go of Matt LaFleur. Maybe we can get we can get someone. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know about you, man, but I wouldn't. LaFleur's not the issue to me, but that's where they're at, And I don't know if someone was joking about this or not. But they were going, "Yeah, we could get Luke Getsy back from Chicago." I'm like, God damn, all right. But look, we were talking about this like first 4 weeks. We were questioning, hey, Luke Getsy, what the hell's your game plan here? And now it's finally like I said, that we've talked, that whole mini bye after Washington, I think it was kind of like a wake up call. Like, we cannot keep doing this the same way we've been doing this the entire time.
Well,
And they have basically committed ever since to just pound the damn rock. Just let Justin Fields pound the rock. If we have a pass or two and get better at it, that's great. But we have a really stellar run game. Why are we just utilize it and take away a ton of clock while you're at it?
yeah, because even me, sometimes I have to run myself. He's still first time play caller. So a part of me, even though I overreact to it, I'm like, I still have to remember that. The only crankiness I have is I'm glad Justin Fields had the 178 rush yards.
Okay.
The only thing that scares me, and this is my crankiness, this is my overthinking, this is me reading these guys on Twitter and I get pissed off. I haven't posted this anywhere, is I just hope we don't start to regress back to happy feet. And just because he ran for all that, is that now he starts to take off from the pocket. You know what I mean? And I don't think so. I think the trend it's going is that this is just something that's going to happen. I think that because out of those 178 rush yards, it was a 60-yard run touchdown. So like a big chunk of those yards came from the one run.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to see him start to get happy feet. Like, oh, I can do this, because he took hits, not big hits. He's getting tackled a lot. And what I don't want to see happen is a Cam Newton situation. Because right now, Lamar Jackson's been staying healthy. They've been figuring it out. I don't think Luke Getsy and them will do this because of what happened to Cam Newton. I just don't want to see Justin Fields start to say, well, I had this big game against Miami. I can do this against anybody. And he's going to start doing X, Y, and Z. And I don't want a Cam Newton situation. I want them to fall in love and be like, well, he can run like this. Let's start running him. I don't think so. But that's where my mind goes afterwards. Like, don't turn this into a Cam Newton. I'm not even the biggest Justin Fields fan, but even I'm sitting there going, don't make this a Cam Newton-esque type of offense.
So far, it's been, I'll be honest with you, most of the yardage I thought that Justin Fields did damage with anyway was on broken plays. In terms of, okay, I'm not going to throw it. I'll let the secondary clear out, and then I'm just going to burn them for like that intermediate to massive gain because no one's there to go after me.
Right.
So I don't think they've gone, say, full-blown. They still have design runs. I think it still is more Lamar Jackson. So he's been smart about it. He slides a lot when he goes in and knows he's going to get hit. He runs out of bounds. He doesn't take massive hits. He's trying to avoid taking hits in the backfield as well. I didn't think he took many of the bad decisions on cutting back and causing loss of yardage.
Yeah.
It was usually like, okay, if there's a hole and I don't see a receiver automatically, I'm just going to run. Like I got two reads, and if it's not there, F it. We're cutting right in because they were getting those chances. So I'm with you. I don't want to see him get beaten up. But if they're playing it smart like they did, like I said, I keep bringing the Ravens up. It's funny how it's connected to both the trade and how I feel about Fields developing further, because I do think that is where you lean on, is his athletic freakishness, and you just want to avoid those hits. But I do stress that I want to see they continue to build him as a true passer, and I think he will get there. I think there is that momentum. I'll be honest, after this week, I'm now back on board, full confidence. And again, people, I stress to you, I'm a bitter fan, so that's why I'm now back. It took me a minute, but I'll go with it. I see the vision, but I do want to hope that next year, as teams continue to try and analyze, how do we figure out, how do we slow Justin Fields down? How do we make sure that we don't let him be the exclusive reason we lost this game? That's what I'm saying is eventually that'll pick up and that has to catch up. So I'm with you. I love the run, but yep. Future-wise, got to be looking at the other aspects too.
Yeah, that's my grumpiness. We'll find out next game. If next game all of a sudden we're starting to see more runs, I'm like, okay, now you've kind of fallen into this Cam Newton thing. Which that was my only thought was because don't worry, you're not a bitter fan anymore. I'm still going to be bitter.
I'm just getting over some of it, but look, all it takes is shoot, man, all it'll take is next year's draft. I hate looking at the doomsday scenario, but if they biff the draft and free agency, they can't get people to come into Chicago, then I'm going to be here and it's going to be more like, great, so what did the organization do wrong? Is my thing. So no, I'm just happy that I'm seeing there's a vision for what this offense is now, and that you can justify like, okay, like Montgomery, Herbert, at least get Monty signed back. We got the run game secured next year. Justin Fields, we know he's a good runner. We have pretty much most of the line coming back next year. We just got to get maybe one or two, newly drafted faces or someone that you can get in free agency that'll be high profile, and we lock it down even further. Get a receiver. And then I think the rest of the draft, if you at least get the receiver and if you get a lineman, you stock the living hell out of getting defensive young talent to rebuild that front seven.
Yep. But yeah, one of us will be a bitter fan. It'll be me. Don't you worry. Like I'll be the bitter fan.
Okay. That's
because I've decided to tweet at people because out of a positive, there's no moral victories. Like I don't really. It's hard to sit here and say. I don't know. I don't believe in moral victories, but there is.
I thought it sucked how it ended because again, it's not often I bring this up, but like the way the game was going, I will stick with it like everyone's saying. The refs, I thought, effed over what that outcome could have been.
Yes.
So that's what hurts. The momentum was definitely in Chicago's favor, and they kneecapped it when they didn't call an obvious PI.
Right. At least and I know we could have caught the pass, but like they call that PI, that next drop pass doesn't happen. And we don't have this conversation. And we don't talk about like, they didn't make what I hate is people keep saying wide receivers have to bail Justin Fields out and make plays. And I agree in that and don't agree with that. But like that pass should have been caught, but never should have happened. The PI should have been called. And it wasn't one of those, they're kind of both pushing on each other a little bit, and it's just an easy no call. That is like even the announcers were like, wait, what? Like it was bad. I'll still tweet at people because I'm going to bring it up. Now I'm seeing tweets out the wazoo about it's over, it's done. I literally am seeing not the Ryan Clark one, but other ones like, oh, the evaluation. And I'm like, well, wait. Not so long ago, you all said, well, we can't judge Justin Fields on the season because of the O-line, because of the receivers.
Right.
Now, you're saying he's the guy. He is him because of this game. And he's played well the last, 3 or 4 weeks. I can't.
Yes. I mean, it's ever since they came off that mini bye week.
Yes, he's played better.
It has been pretty, I would say, good, overall good quality QB play. And again, I stress that the definition of good QB play has changed. It is not the same as it used to be. More and more, it is about, like I said, you see more guys like a Lamar Jackson, like a Justin Fields, like even Trevor Lawrence. I don't think people stress enough too. Trevor Lawrence has been playing solid this year as well. Dude also runs pretty well. Not as good as Justin Fields, but I put his name in there because basically it's more two-pronged in terms of what production is than ever in the league. It's not just about the passing yards anymore. It's now, hey, if you're a good runner, yeah, that's a good QB. That's what's being defined anymore. Justin Fields, I think, showed that again this week that, yeah, he only had 123 yards passing, but 2 of those were TD throws. And then he set a record in single rushing for a QB. That's over 300 yards all purpose.
Yes.
That's really good production from a
Yes.
quarterback.
And it just depends, like, and that's a whole other topic of, like, you and I could sit here and say, well, I think my definition of a good quarterback is how they dropping back, they making these passes, and like you said, yours could be, well, but are they doing things to win them the game or put them in position, running the ball? Like, it just all depends.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing of the NFL was the Tom Brady, drop back pass, Peyton Manning pass, and that's still technically what they look at. You do have Patrick Mahomes that can move around, but he's not Lamar Jackson. You're even seeing Patrick Mahomes sometimes look slow. Then there's times he looks like him, like he did that crazy pass yesterday, which people are still talking about. And but now I lost my train of thought. You see me get old.
What you're talking is, like, look, to win at a big time level, to get to a Super Bowl championship, you have to be able to throw the ball at a consistently successful volume week in and week out.
Yes.
I do think that you can definitely, with an athletic quarterback like Fields, you can go far on his legs, but the more you see him develop as a passer, the higher the ceiling becomes. So near term right now, that's great to see the confidence building with the running and all that. It's fantastic. Next year, I think more than ever, you're going to see people going, okay, we're going to talk this Lamar Jackson discussion post his MVP year, where it's like, is he truly a good passer? Can he get the passing numbers done? That's what I'm expecting. Either that, or we'll have a MVP-esque like Lamar Jackson season where people are going, oh, they full-blown went that way, and then his production goes up the wazoo because of new toys that are in the war chest, if you will, from free agency or the draft. So eventually, that's what the conversation will turn to. I guarantee it. If his passing doesn't start going up and it's just running, then people will switch back to, oh, Justin Fields is a really damn good running back.
Yes. He's a running back playing quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's just, I'm just tired. We talked about it last time. I'm tired of the flip-flopping. I'm tired of, at the beginning of the year.
You can never win. You can't. The Roquan discussion, same deal. You like that whole thing. There's always a loser, and people will always find a way to write themselves out of this conversation. For example, Roquan tonight. I mean, they haven't had to do much, but he is up there at tops and tackles right now for the Ravens. So
imagine that, one of the leading tacklers in the NFL continuing to be a leading tackler while he goes to the Ravens.
But I mean, that's the thing. That's why I'm kind of washing my hands with this. It's like there's no winning. I think people will have their way and want their way to stick until it's proven wrong, and they will try and be on that side.
Yeah, I think
hypocrisy online thrives is the message I give you.
Yeah, because I'm tweeting at people like, well, wait, you said we couldn't evaluate him. And that's why I wanted to give compliments to the wide receivers. Is Justin Fields playing better? Yes. But I think the wide receivers are playing better. I think the line's playing better. But we couldn't evaluate them because we said the receivers are so bad. But the receivers are so bad, then why do you get mad at them if they don't catch that football? Like, you shouldn't be shocked then, So again, when I watch these podcasts and these YouTube shows, make a play for them. Well, you're the ones at the beginning of the year talked about how bad they were. Mm-hmm. So don't sit here and act all shocked. That's why I try not to. Like, if they drop it, like, well, they're still young. They're figuring it out. It's frustrating because you're getting paid money. This is your job. But
it wasn't. It wasn't surprised. It sucked, but seeing that drop, like you're talking, that's kind of been the story all year. Is like the key moments have not been there all the time for receivers. There's been flashes. Dante Pettis has had his moments. ESQ has had his moments too. Surprisingly, it's just that when it comes to crunch time, when it comes to you need that guy to be clutch, they're not clutch.
No,
they are not clutch as a receiving core. Even Darnell Mooney showed he does not always have the clutch gene, as we saw against the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know what else to tell you. You got people want to change the expectations. I get it. Like I said, hypocrisy thrives online, especially does in the Bears fan base. But
Yes.
you know, that to me was a consistent. I'm not shocked at this, but people still were. So
Yeah,
what do I know?
and I'm the only one that didn't go with this. They said Justin Fields has arrived, and I'm like, well, if he does this the rest of the year and continues to do these things going into next year, you could sit there and say he's arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, he could do this the rest of the year. Next year's the big one, where depending on what moves are made, how does he play next year? And then people are saying how we had the tweet earlier. He's the most athletic person to play the quarterback position, but then they want to change their tune and say he's just the most athletic person. Well, let's not get crazy. Like that's what happens when something good like this happens, and it's not even winning a game. We didn't win this game. We lost this game.
Mm-hmm.
We have to pump. All I said to people was pump the brakes. We got to pump the brakes. It's the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. When they won the Super Bowl, they immediately said he's the best quarterback to ever play. And I was one of the only ones I think to say, well, you got to pump the brakes because we're not going to get into the list of quarterbacks. There's plenty of
Mm-hmm.
quarterbacks. Is he very gifted? Yes, but we're not going to get on Patrick Mahomes talk. Is Justin Fields gifted? Absolutely. He's a great athlete. But that's where it is. He's a great athlete. We can't sit here and say he is the most athletic quarterback. I think Michael Vick might have been faster. Like things like that we just can't. It's not fair to have these conversations, and then they want to say these. I even heard, and I'm paraphrasing, they didn't say he was the best Bears quarterback, but they're like, we've never felt this comfortable with a quarterback. And I said, really? Let's go ask the 1985 guys what they felt like. I liked Jay Cutler. I know he was the gunslinger. I know he made some mistakes. People just didn't like his body language. I will still sit here today and say I will take Jay Cutler over Justin Fields right now. Now, here in about 3 years, maybe that's different. But when you look at a passer and who can move and who could do some things, who can make some plays, who dealt with a lot with different coordinators, we can't forget, like, we can't jump the gun, is all I'm saying. Pump the brakes before we start doing this.
And I'm not against you with that. My thing is very much like I see a lot of the optimistic side of it. I think there is still a road ahead. We have a full other 8 games or full other 8 games to play left in the season. That we will see that continue to grow, and I think that the more we get that, the more we'll show that in the tape. And I think, like getting Chase Claypool more involved next week, having him under that belt, that'll be great. I think I know that Detroit's defense is usually a wet paper towel unless they're playing, like, for example, the Green Bay Packers, but
That team up north.
But I digress. I mean, you're going to watch this and evaluate, and I think I'm going to say there's a lot here I like, and I'm going to sit back and, again, 3 years. It's how I always play it. And now you're going to have a full year next year to be on board that way.
You are now. You're allowed to evaluate now, so go right ahead. You're allowed.
I mean, I should be allowed. I think you should be too. But yeah, I'm optimistic is what I will put down. I want to keep seeing things that keep putting me optimistic. And I'm glad that they have given him the tools, at least in terms of the play calling tools, to let him do that. Again, key point, play calling. I will put that down. They're also maximizing, like I said, you talked about the 2 leading receivers on this team the past week. 2 guys we are saying for the future the Bears need to have getting the most targets. Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney. Chase Claypool should be there next week as the number 3 without a doubt, I think. So those guys are going to be your keys. If you really are in win now mode, like they're saying, because this has been put out there, they're in win now. They're in a winning mode right now.
Their defense says otherwise.
Defense says otherwise, but Brian Poles says different. Then yeah, you hope to God that those 3 keep their upward trajectory with Justin, and that things keep going backwards. I don't think they're a playoff team this year. It would be a miraculous turnaround if they were, but I just don't see it. That defense is too weak. And they still have, in terms of the secondary, even if you want to go back secondary wise, Kyler Gordon, we saw this past week, he is still learning. He got beaten up in a matchup that was going to be hard as hell to do anyway. Um, and Kendall Vildor is, I think he's played much more solid. He's not an elite cornerback.
Mhm.
So you had to, it was a tough sledding either way, but
Yeah.
I'm looking forward
There's
to it.
there's positive to Gordon and them, so that's another thing we have to look at is they're young. It's the rest of the defense where you're kind of like, none of you have shown promise. At least they've had moments where, they've looked ever since they got kind of burned around with the Vikings,
Mm-hmm.
they've gotten better up until the Dolphins. But again, you're trying to deal with Waddle, you're trying to deal with Tyreek Hill, you're trying to deal with, that's a tough task on
Yeah,
any corner safety combo with a weak linebacking core that can't help you out in that.
that too. I want to read before I'm done here with this. I want to read off something I just found interesting browsing Twitter. Ed, we already talked about that mini buy and how they've changed around how they're
Mhm.
offensively scheming. So Ed Warner writes here today during the mini buy, head coach Matt Eberflus and staff studied and applied offensive concepts from the Bills, Ravens, and Texans with Deshaun Watson. Justin Fields' productivity in these 3 games since is spectacular. So, funny. Those 3 teams. Now, credit. Hey, say what you want about Deshaun Watson because it's definitely can be said. But if you're talking about skill sets, 3 QBs on those skill sets: Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson. You know what they do really well? They run the ball when they are allowed to, and eventually those offenses built those guys up to be better passers. That is what they're doing. That is exactly what they are trying to do is let the guy run, let his athletic freakishness take over, as you can see, especially with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson in those cases, in my opinion. They're big body guys. Justin Fields is kind of a big dude. Um, it's a little scary to tackle a dude that can run 4.4 and is 230 plus pounds running
Yeah.
like a freight train at you. Um,
Run 20 miles per hour.
and then you get the passing game built up as you build your roster up. So
Yes.
that like I said, I have to list that tweet because that is exactly what we've been talking about. Is that's the angle they're going with. It's working. It's good, but they definitely are trying to build like those rosters, or at least the Ravens and the Bills. The Texans were going that trajectory, but they blew it up. I'll throw that
Yeah.
out the door. But the Bills and Ravens, that's definitely what they're building towards.
Which is good. That's an example of we're going to feed into what this team can do instead of us forcing what we want to do, which is what Matt Nagy was doing. He was forcing what he wanted over what he had, which I think at the beginning of the year we were seeing no trust in these players. Kind of, I think that was a part
Mm-hmm.
of it. I think it was new offense. I think I have to keep reminding myself that it's a new offense from last year, so part of that. And then I also think it was just finally one of those waking up moments where, okay, we got young receivers, we have a quarterback who in college they have to cater to what he can do.
Yep.
Maybe that's what we need to start doing, where we kind of have to, while we cater to what they can do, we can still develop to get the other part down to where he can have a longer career because, here in a couple years, he's not going to run 20 miles per hour. It's just father time will catch up, and father time is undefeated unless you're Tom Brady. That's, until maybe right now, but father time is undefeated at some point. So, like Lamar Jackson's going to get slower. He already kind of has, but I think he's going to start getting slower. Justin Fields is going to get slower. You've noticed that eventually they're going to stop running. The Bills are going to stop running Josh Allen because he's going to get slower.
I don't even think he needs to really run. I mean, you see what he's done right now. Now, credit, he's actually, I think he has an injury possibly that he's going to be dealing with
Yeah, I
here,
looked
but
at it. He got like a whiplash thing on his arm.
so
Not good.
there's that. But I mean, they Allen's to me,
He's
if
just
we're
more
talking those,
powerful.
right? He's more just big. I mean, he's
Yeah,
big. He's a
yeah,
big, bulkier. He's to me, he's a more athletic version of Ben Roethlisberger.
yeah. Because when they do run him, it's power. So that he's running behind somebody, he's going to lower his shoulder and boom.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good combo because we've seen that. Now that you've brought that up, was it last week or a week before where you saw power and counter with Justin Fields running it? Well, that's what the Bills do. Then you saw certain reads where he could take off and run. Well, that's what Lamar Jackson does. So it's a good combo. Just keep Justin Fields away from massage therapists. Don't go full on Deshaun Watson
I,
on us.
I can't. I don't think he will do that. But again, yeah, I'm not even gonna go there. I don't
Money
think he
does
will.
things to people.
I'm
Money
too
does.
optimistic right now. I don't. I hope that I think he's a smarter kid than that. Is what I'm gonna say.
I don't know. He hangs around Colin Kaepernick, but that's another conversation for a different time.
Okay. Okay then.
But I'm still going to be grumpy, but I'm still more optimistic. I just
Mm-hmm.
everybody pump the brakes for a second. And the reason why I say that, remember where we came from. Remember 2019 to now. Let's just take a step there. And even with Jay Cutler there were prime times where we could have done something, and like you said, set up perfectly, breaks his thumb. Like
Still think about 2012 to this day, man. That
the
still lives
knee,
rent free in my head for what that year could have been.
yeah. So I just same thing with Illinois. I'm telling everybody to pump the brakes. Like I'm mad about the laws. People are already going after Coach Bielema, and they're like, we got to pump the brakes for a second. And so, like Bears fans, pump the brakes. He ends the year like this, finishing out. Then you could start to have this conversation. He does it half the year next year. You could start to say, we got to put him up there with Jay Cutler. We got to put him up there. Like if it continues, just pump the brakes. Even though we are in a win now situation somehow.
Right. Well, yeah. Hey, tell you what, that combo will be even more fascinating come next week when and we'll go further in. But
I do think that'll be a
it's
fun game.
it's a matchup that should make people go, much like last year when they faced the Detroit Lions. By the way, when Fields had his best game at that point so far in his career. That's another one. It's at home against Detroit, just like the other one. I think people are kind of gearing up to say, oh boy, this one right here, we're going to see an even better one. Or at least you hope, to me, I think you have his best passing game of the season come against the Lions. And I'll go further into that next time we're on for that preview. But, good. You building some more confidence week over week.
It will be a fun one. That's all I'll say about it. I think it'll be fun because both defenses are not very good right now.
No.
And they
No,
both
they're
are
not.
scoring.
Again, can't stress enough. I don't care how bad the Packers are. You lost to the Detroit Lions, who rank, and I was spot on. It's not a lie. They are the worst ranked defense in the NFL, and they could only score 9 points. The Lions are.
Let's just say at this moment in time, I look forward to playing the Packers again. If the Packers continue on this trend.
I kind of do too.
Even though we won't be able to stop the run. But
I'm trying to not be cocky about that, but it'll
ask
be
me again
fun.
ask me again in 2 weeks.
Right. I'm with you. I'm going to be patient, but I mean, they get to come to Chicago for the second matchup. Bears have been best at home this year.
If the Packers, because I'm waiting for the Packers to hit the light switch because they always do, but it's never taken them this long. I don't.
6 though, 5 straight losses.
Yeah, I think what's saving them is the rest of the NFC North outside of the Vikings are not very good. If the Vikings somehow tumble, or if the Packers somehow flip the switch like they always have, but I don't know if they've ever been in this situation to turn the switch. Maybe the Super Bowl time when they were like 10-6 and all of a sudden, like, they had flipped the switch or, whatever. But if they don't flip the switch in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to sit and the Bears continue to score 30 points a game. I'm going to sit here and go, maybe Chicago will own Aaron Rodgers and he won't own them.
Maybe it's the send-off we all are hoping for.
Yeah, because he might be gone. He might go start a podcast.
I mean, shoot, man. Yeah, you go through a year like that. You're pushing your high 30s like that.
He'll get traded to the Raiders.
Oh my God.
Reunited.
It's hilarious, but somehow in a stupid world, I could see that happening.
Or he goes to the 49ers like he always wanted. But he's not doing too hot either. But anyway, but yeah, I think we're all feeling okay. I think we're 3-6, and we're
3 and
still feeling
6.
okay.
Yeah.
So I think we're okay. I think we got through it all. My grumpiness, the positivity, the negativity, my grumpiness again. I think it's all okay. Well, that'll wrap up this one. Go check out Zach's other podcast, Gridiron Gallery, 4th and 4, Inside the Walls, USFL, XFL stuff coming out. We're all waiting for when NFL comes to an end.
Oh, yeah.
XFL and USFL will be making its comeback. That'll be interesting to see. Zach will have all that, I'm sure, as we get closer. He'll educate me like he always does with that because I coach too much.
Giving you the crash courses, you'll get them.
I need
those
them.
crash courses.
I'll need them. But thanks for coming back, Zach. Another Bear Down segment. Guys, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Enjoy this with the Bears right now. And we will see you guys next time for our Lions versus Bears preview that we do later on in the week. So we'll see you guys then.
Mm-hmm.